Hello, my name is Dr. Joyce Tyldesley. In this presentation, I will examine aspects of the reign of the female pharaoh Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was the daughter of the 18th dynasty warrior king Thutmosis I and the sister wife of his son and successor Thutmosis II. When her husband died, she became regent for her infant stepson Thutmosis III. The young king was the son of Thutmosis II and a harem queen named Isis. Initially, Hatshepsut was an entirely conventional queen regent. We can see her in this role here. Then, unexpectedly, Hatshepsut was crowned king. She now ruled alongside Thutmosis III, acting as the dominant king. How this came about we will probably never know, but it seems likely that there was a crisis which required an adult king on the throne. Throughout her reign, Hatshepsut showed a strong devotion to the goddess Ma'at, the personification of the concept Ma'at, which translates as rightness, truth, or justice. She was determined, through her building works, her art, and her monumental inscriptions, to convince her people and her gods that Ma'at filled every corner of her land. To emphasize this, she chose as her throne name, that is the name by which she was known to her people, Ma'at Ka Re. This translates as Ma'at is the soul of the sun god Re. Hatshepsut's reign was unusual, but it was not illegal. There was no prohibition on female kings. There had even, during the Middle Kingdom, been the short-lived reign of the female pharaoh Sobek-Nofru. Nor was there any ban on co-regencies. The joint reign had long been a feature of dynastic royal life. Hatshepsut set out to prove herself a worthy successor to her father, as a king able to defend Egypt's borders. Historians once argued that Hatshepsut must have been a pacifist, either because of her natural womanly qualities or because she was reluctant to allow the army to assume too much power. However, we now have enough evidence to confirm that Hatshepsut was not averse to fighting. Her early reign saw at least one Nubian campaign, and there might also have been fighting in the north. Hatshepsut was interested in the economic benefits of empire. Egypt was rich in natural resources and would never run out of food, but there was a growing need for wood, for luxury goods, and for the scented incense which could be burned in the temples. Foreigners were now to be exploited rather than to be subdued. Hatshepsut's reign saw a series of highly successful foreign trading missions, plus the increasing development of the copper and turquoise mines. Most remarkable of all was her expedition to the land of Punt. This mission, which she regarded as one of the highlights of her reign, was to be recorded in a series of scenes carved in the wall of a mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, Thebes. Here you can see the curious houses built on stilts by the people of Punt. Increasing trade brought increasing wealth. As her coffers filled, Hatshepsut was able to indulge her passion for building. She financed an ambitious program of public works which included the establishment of new temples and the repair of existing monuments. The Karnak temple at Thebes benefited from her generosity, acquiring a new sandstone gateway, a suite of rooms around the boat shrine of the god Ammon, which is shown here, and a mud brick palace for her own use. Like her father before her, Hatshepsut raised gold-tipped obelisks to the glory of Ammon. The obelisks symbolised the first rays of the sun at the time of creation. Glittering in the strong Karnak sunlight, they were an awesome sight. It is for her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri that Hatshepsut is perhaps best remembered. The temple complex, set in tiers in a natural bay in the Theban cliff, has long been considered one of the most beautiful buildings of the dynastic age. Here Hatshepsut built a temple where she hoped that she and her father would be remembered for all eternity. Here their souls would receive the perpetual offerings of food, drink and incense made by the living. Included in the temple were shrines dedicated to a variety of gods. Hathor and Anubis had their own chapels. There was a shrine devoted to the memory of the royal ancestors, and there was a solar temple, open to the sky, dedicated to Re Herakti. Hidden at the very heart of the building, cut into the Theban cliff, was the dark shrine of Ammon. Hatshepsut expected to become one with this god after her death. Hatshepsut wanted to be buried alongside her father in the Valley of the Kings. So, rather than build a new tomb, she extended her father's last resting place. Thutmosis I was taken from his original wooden sarcophagus and reinterred in a splendid quartzite sarcophagus, alongside the even more splendid sarcophagus which awaited his daughter. Hatshepsut consistently stressed her devotion to her father. Rewriting history to suit her needs, she falsely tells us that her father had proclaimed her his co-regent before his death. She tells us that he said, "This is my daughter, I put her in my place, she is my successor on the throne." Hatshepsut also claimed a divine father. As the child of Amun, patron god of the New Kingdom Empire, she surely had a right to rule Egypt. The walls of her Deir el-Bahri mortuary temple preserve the story of Hatshepsut's divine nativity in a series of images and descriptive passages. Amun comes to Egypt to visit the beautiful Queen Akhmose. She conceives a child, and 9 months later we see her being led to the birthing bower, a tiny baby bump just visible. We see the new baby and her identical soul being moulded on the potter's wheel by the ram-headed god of creation Khnum. All goes well, and Hatshepsut is born. Amun takes his daughter, kisses her, and announces that she is destined to inherit Egypt. Hatshepsut's new role forced her to reinvent her appearance. The public Hatshepsut was routinely depicted wearing the kilt, crown or headcloth, collar, and false beard which defined Egyptian kingship. Very occasionally, towards the beginning of her rule, she appeared as a woman dressed in king's clothing. More usually, she had the breastless body of a man. After 2 decades on the throne, Hatshepsut allowed her co-ruler to step into the limelight. Thutmosis III had been trained as a soldier and was already commander-in-chief of the army. Now, faced with growing discontent amongst his eastern vassals, he was forced to commit his troops to the first of a series of military campaigns needed to reimpose firm control on the Levant. A single stela carved at Amant in Upper Egypt tells us that the female pharaoh died on the 10th day of the 6th month of year 22. Thutmosis III buried Hatshepsut alongside Thutmosis I in the Valley of the Kings. Finally, he was free to rule as an independent king. Thank you.